All right, question 6.5. A certain vending machine offers 20-ounce bottles of soda for $1.50. The number of bottles X bought from the machine on any day is a random variable with mean 50 and standard deviation 15. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there and I'm just going to make a couple notes about that last sentence. Okay. So the random variable is X, and we're going to define it as the number of purchased bottles. All right, the mean of this random variable is 50, and the standard deviation is 15. Okay, so that means, over the course of many, many days, the average number of bottles purchased is around 50, and the number of bottles purchased typically varies by about 15 bottles from the mean of 50. Okay, anyways, let's continue reading. So then it says, let the random variable y equal the total revenue from this machine. So how much money the machine produces on a randomly selected day. Assume that the machine works properly and that no sodas are stolen from the machine. What are the mean and standard deviation of y? Okay, so let's switch to a different color. Okay, so y is going to equal the total revenue from the machine on a random day. Now, the variable y and the variable x are directly related to each other because if we know the number of bottles and we also know the price per bottle, then we can figure out how much money the machine is generating. In other words, the amount of money the machine generates is just $1.50 times the number of bottles purchased. Okay. Do I want to use parentheses here? Let's write it as multiplication dot. Okay, so $1.50 times x. Actually, we don't even need to write dot. We can just write 150x. Okay, the main thing to highlight here is that we have a multiplier, right? So we're multiplying the old variable by a constant to create this new variable. Okay. Now, I believe it was lesson 6.3 where we were transforming random variables. We were looking at the salaries and two different options for a raise. Adding $10, which basically just shifts the distribution, or doubling everybody's wage. So when you multiply, you either stretch or compress the distribution. Okay. So this multiplying by 150 is going to stretch the distribution. It's going to widen it. Okay. All right, so the question is, what are the mean and the standard deviation of y? Okay. Well, the mean of y is going to be 150 times the mean of x. All right, so 150 times 50, that's going to be, I think that's 75. Yeah, 1.5 times 50, 75. Right, and that makes sense, right? If on average the machine sells 50 bottles, then on average it's going to be producing $75. Okay. The standard deviation of y, well, remember, this multiplier is stretching the distribution out, so the variability is going to increase. By how much? Well, by the factor 150. Okay. So we're going to have 1.5 times the old standard deviation. Okay. So 1.5 times 15, which is 22.5. All right, so looking at the answer choices, we are going to go with choice D. Okay. So for the revenue, we expect on average to produce $75, and that amount of revenue will typically vary by $22.50 from the mean of $75.